Hey guys, this is Shannon from HungerForHappiness.com, and I'm here with Samantha Skelly from HungryForHappiness.com, and we are talking about dieting and eating disorders in the dancing and fitness competition communities and industries. So welcome, Samantha. Would you like to tell us a little bit about you and your background, the work that
Yeah.
you do?
Nice to see you guys. I hope you're all doing well today. Like Shannon said, my name is Samantha Skelly. I'm up in Vancouver, Canada. I founded a company last year called Hungry for Happiness. Obviously, we have some similarities going on, which is so awesome. We're on the same wavelength. And so what we do is we help empower women who are suffering from emotional eating, binge eating, eating disorders, body image issues through one-to-one coaching and online programs. So it's super in line with what Shannon's doing, and it's we're in this together, so it's super exciting. It's a really, really exciting time.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think that's how we met online
Yeah.
through Twitter. And with the similarity in business names, and then similar people that we were looking to reach. And then Samantha has a great story about growing up in the dancing community, and she did a fitness competition earlier this year, and just has some great insights on emotional eating and body image in those industries, and especially in the fitness community where body image, there is so much focus on what we look like. So can you tell us a little bit, Samantha, about like growing up in the dancing community? What was your experience with
Mm,
that like, and what
mm.
led you to do the work that you're doing?
Yeah, it was really interesting. So growing up as a dancer, obviously you're standing in front of a mirror literally for 30 hours a week staring at yourself and comparing yourself to others. And so it's a breeding ground for eating disorders. It really, really is. And not just are you hard on yourself, but your ballet teachers are hard on you also. So ballet teachers used to always make comments. And when I was younger, I was like, oh, that's just the way it's supposed to be. Ballet teachers are supposed to call you fat and that kind of thing. And for me, when I was younger, my main focus it was like how many pirouettes can I do? How high can I jump? How can I move my body? But a lot of the girls, their motivation was how can I just need to get as skinny as possible. And obviously, when they start restricting their diet and they start depriving themselves from the nutrients they need, their body's not going to be working at an optimal level. So they would tend to, suffer. Their performance would suffer because their bodies were like dwindling away, and it was really, really, really scary. So I grew up like in that world, and then after kind of retired myself as a dancer, I got into personal training. And again, I just was faced with time and time again with girls who suffered from eating disorders. And when I say eating disorder, I'm mostly making reference to anorexia, bulimia. And then when I speak about like the relationship with food, that's more like emotional eating, body image. So I had like body image issues growing up for sure, like any girl did, and I definitely was a yo-yo dieter. However, I didn't. Unlike a lot of my clients and fellow dancers and coworkers, I didn't develop an eating disorder, which I'm so grateful for, considering the environment that I was in. So now my work in the world is just to like reverse that cycle, reverse the mentality of we have to be super skinny. And I know you mentioned I did a fitness competition, and it was interesting because when I did that, everyone's like, what are you doing? Like, you're an advocate for not restricting your diet and not doing all this. And I had a secret mission, I guess, for doing that. And my motivation was to figure out if your body size was congruent with your happiness. Because when we restrict and we diet and we yo-yo diet and we hate ourselves and all this kind of stuff, and we're chasing a feeling, like, and that feeling that we're chasing is happiness. And a lot of people think you can get it from starving yourself. And I just wanted to kind of document and blog and just like share my story of, no, like that's bullshit. Like like I was 20 pounds lighter than I am now, and I was so unhappy. And not only was I protein poisoning my body with all the chicken I had to give myself, so I was leading my body into a really toxic, acidic state, which is not healthy at all for your cellular development and health. I was just unhappy. I was moody, and I wasn't enjoying my life. So I've documented that entire journey, and so I can share with people, and especially share with people who are in that industry, because I think there's a lot of girls who are super athletic and they do it for like the satisfaction, and it's not to mask an eating disorder. But there is a large portion of women who enter these fitness competitions to mask their eating disorder and to feel like they're, a part of something. And it's a really sad reality, but it's the truth. And so I just had to do it myself just to prove it to myself. So, yeah.
Sure. Well, and that I feel like that's so common in athletic communities is that that it can mask an eating disorder and it can bring about an eating disorder.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the Ansel Keys study that was done where they starved men, and then they found that when they starved men, brains changed. They started to develop signs of an eating disorder. They didn't want to eat. Then when they were food to start refeeding.
Yeah.
And the same like athletes triad when we are focusing so much on fitness and on body image, we're putting all that pressure on ourselves. Eating disorders definitely develop in those communities for sure.
Yeah.
And it seems healthy because, like, I think there's this big misconception that bulimia is just vomiting, when really it can also be exercising to the extreme.
Oh gosh, of course. And over exercise, so bulimia, so over exercising, when you work your body up into a state where you're training so hard, you are creating a very toxic and acidic environment. And that, like, over exercising, over training is not good. So what happens when we create an acidic environment? Our cells break down, which causes stress, weight loss, premature aging, and all of that negative stuff. So basically what we do is we're shifting the imbalance of our electrical fields and our red blood cells, causing them to stick together. And when our cells aren't getting oxygen, all this crazy shit happens in our body, and that's how we get fat. And so when people have these missions to grow and lose weight, they're doing it from a place of fear. They're doing it from a place of like, I hate what's going on right now, so I'm just going to freaking give her on the treadmill and see what happens. And they don't actually think about the health of their body. So they're sacrificing so much health because they want to feel a certain way. And that's the conversation that we need to change as women, and as you and me in a health community. And this is the message we need to shout to people, is the fact that you need to, if you're going to, like, everyone should exercise. I'm a huge advocate for that, of course. But if you're going to do it, you need to do it from a place of love, of like, I want to feel amazing. I want to have great energy. And the better your energy, the better your quality of life. So let's start from that angle instead of starting from, I hate myself, I'm just going to destroy myself on the treadmill and see what happens, because you're self-destructing. That's a way of self-sabotaging. And it's, and there's this mentality of like, just give her, just go your all, just do it, and it's not going to work. It's not sustainable. You're not in balance with what your body needs. You're not in balance with a life. You're going to turn into an obsessive freak, and you're not going to have a social life, and then that's not going to make you happy either. So it's like, it's this vicious cycle of like all these like little components in your life that are just taking over and making you obsessed. And that's how eating disorders develop. If we have the proper education, tools, and strategies to reverse that, and like take it a step back and like think about our primal needs, and like figure out like, what does our body need from a primal level, and then play on that is so much more powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I was actually writing earlier kind of to that same effect. Like, our bodies are not machines. We can't just program them and tell them what to do. Our needs change every day. I would say diets are inhuman. They're not made for the human experience. There's no like, oh shit, I was just laid off diet, or like, oh crap, my boyfriend just broke up with me diet. There's it's just that listening to your body and really honoring your body. Sometimes you want to move, sometimes you don't want to move. Times we're hungrier than other times. Like, I know menstrual cycles will definitely affect how much we need to eat, and that's something that we don't often talk about, because there's more conversation about dieting and what to do and what not to do than about listening to your body and just giving yourself what you need. For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So what advice would you give to dancers and people in the fitness community about maintaining a healthy body image? So like you said, like you when growing up in the dancing community, while other people were developing eating disorders and you didn't, like, what was it, do you think, that, helped you to stay centered and not develop an eating disorder? And what advice would you give, or what advice do you give your clients about, it's great to be an athlete and to be a fitness competitor and to, do what you want to do and live your life. Everybody's got their own path, but how do you stay centered and confident and comfortable in your own skin and have a healthy relationship with food when you're doing that?
I had like two, from a young age, I had two things I really focused on, and that was my performance and my energy. If my energy sucked, my performance was going to suck. And I was quite competitive growing up. So I'm like, I gotta win. I gotta like this vessel that I'm blessed with. I need to have it in like good working capacity, right? Energy is everything. Energy is the quality of your life. The quality of your energy is the quality of your life. Like when you're feeling in like peak state and you're like feeling super awesome, you can do anything. And I dabbled in like dieting while I was a dancer, and I was like, F this shit. It's like I don't want to eat like carrots and then I get to dance class and I like do 3 pirouettes and like feel like I'm gonna friggin' pass out. Like there's no way that's gonna happen. So I think my sole focus, I was so focused on like performance, and I was so focused on like, improving my energy, improving my like muscular strength. Like I just wanted to have like a ripped 6-pack, and like maybe it was like slightly aesthetic at that age. But I wanted to put on muscle. And how do we put on muscle? You got to eat, right? So that was where my mentality was at that time. When I Yeah, so when like in class, when girls would talk about, they would honestly brag about how much they didn't eat, and then I would see them falling down in class. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, what are you doing to yourself? So that was my like intention. That was the place I was coming from, was like health, energy, performance, 6-pack abs sort of thing. Whereas on the contrary, on the flip side, it's a place of, if I'm not 100 pounds, I'm not going to be chosen for the prima ballerina role, or I'm not going to be a good dancer, or I'm not going to be this, I'm not going to be that. So the mentality is kind of construed, and it comes from a place of fear. So yeah, that, I think for me that was a difference. I didn't focus on getting skinny. I focused on getting strong and healthy, because I knew if I was strong and healthy, I'd have the energy to sustain myself, which would reflect in my performance. So that's how I felt about that. And that did change. I mean, I was like, you go through kind of like peaks and troughs. So there would be times when I would be like, oh, like, you get insecure and you're like, oh God, maybe I should diet. And then like I would try it and I'd be like, no, that's not for me. And then when I stopped dancing and I stopped dancing, I obviously put on a little bit more weight because I wasn't dancing 30 hours a week anymore. That's when I started to be like, oh, maybe I'll try this diet. Maybe I'll try this diet. And what I realized from trying all these diets is I was just creating like mayhem in my body. And I was just, like I said, take the Atkins diet for instance. You're literally, your breath smells like shit, and you're poisoning your body with too much protein, and you're toxic. You're completely toxic, and your body's not working at an alkaline level. So you're screwing up a lot of things. So I soon learned after trying 25 different diets and realizing none of them worked, that we need to like go back to like our primal needs, our primal basic needs of eat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, and it's about eating the right things when you're hungry, and then obviously there's intuitive eating, mindful eating, and that whole component as well. So
awesome.
yeah.
I love what you said about mentality, because it really is our perspective. And are you coming at it from a place of I need to lose weight, or are you coming at it from a place of I really want to do what's best for my body? I know now, like, I don't think anybody really looks at me and they're like, you're so tiny. And that's what I used to want. So I haven't said it yet, but I'm recovered from anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating. So there was a point in my life when I really wanted people to be like, you look so skinny. And that really kind of fed the eating disorder, fed my ego. But now I go to the health food store and I get water in these 5-gallon jugs. And I'll be carrying them out of the store, and they're heavy. They're probably about 40 pounds each. And people look at me yeah, right. Like, you have to strongly, because that's really what it is. Being strong, being me. And I think of that as so much more of a compliment than just, hey, you look really skinny. So when people ask me, like, do you work out? I'm like, hell yeah, I work out, because I love and appreciate my body. And so that leads me to ask about, like, so for fitness competitions, you're in this industry where you're building a lot of muscle, and like you said, you've got to eat a lot. And I know that industry is very like regimented in terms of like you have to work out a lot, and you're eating the chicken and potatoes and oatmeal, and meals are like really portioned out. How do you and then I mean, on top of all that, you're up on stage in a bikini in front of all these people, like flexing your muscles. How do you stay confident and like stay true to yourself and listen to your body in environment like that when you're training for a competition, because it's serious, but and you want to, you know, do your due diligence, but you also want to honor your body.
Yeah, I had to just keep checking in with myself mentally, and I think it's all about like where are you at mentally. And I knew why I was doing it. So when I had days of like being really weak, or I had days of being like, I just need to throw in the towel on this, I really stuck true to no, I need to do this for not only for me to prove to myself, but prove to like my clients, my friends, my network, my everyone that like this is not cool. Like this is not how you are, like how you gain happiness. And I think like I needed to kind of like throw caution to the wind a little bit, and kind of like I'm a super clean eater, and I like that kind of eating for me was really hard to do, but I had to stick true to my mission and like why am I doing that? So it was like temporary. It was like a temporary like pain for now that I have a story that can inspire thousands. So for me, that's what kept me going. And no, my like I wasn't healthy during that at all, and I could feel it. Like I was like I could feel it in my body. I'm like I should not be like eating this little. I should not be working out this much. Like, and it was really obvious to me during that whole process. But I had to like I just figured out where I was coming from, where I wanted to go, and the story I wanted to share, and that's what kept me going.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's a motivation. And so you just talked about it didn't bring you happiness, and I know we're both on that. Like we're hungry for happiness. We have this hunger for happiness because I really, you know, when we say I want to be thin, I want to lose weight, it's because we think it's going to make us happy. It's going to get us the guy. It's going to get us the job. It's going to make our life perfect in some way.
Yeah.
What you learned from the experience, both from like growing up as a dancer in the dance community and also train fitness competition, about like you were saying earlier, your weight and how that correlates to your happiness level? What have you kind of discovered about that?
I realized that like if you're relying on food to make you happy, you really need to get a life. You know, it's like you really need to get your shit together, because this world is full of like so much abundance and so much we can do to make ourselves happy. And you just need to get out there, get creative, stay true to yourself, figure out what you love to do as a child that food had nothing to do with, and just like go for it, because that's all we know. So that's our default. That's what we fall back on. We fall back on food to be like, oh yeah, no, you're cool. Like this will make you happy. And like that's bullshit. Like that, we need to like, you know, connect with humans. We need to learn to love ourselves. Like instead of like going to the fridge and eating your face off to the point where you feel like disgusting, you want to puke, and then this shame and guilt set in, why not like honor your body and do some like self-love rituals? If that's what you're like, figure out what you're craving. What is the feeling you want to achieve? So if that feeling is like, I want to feel sexy, don't sit on the couch and eat like a thing of potato chips. Go take a salsa dancing lesson, or like go do something like that makes you feel like that. Or I want to feel I don't know, identify the feelings of what you want, and then figure out how can I fill this feeling that doesn't involve food, because food is our go-to for everything. Like we're happy, we're sad, we're depressed, we're scared, we're nervous, we're this, we're that. Any emotion that we're feeling in our body, boom, our go-to is food, time after time after time again. So why is that? Why is that when we live in this world of like complete like creation and abundance, and like we can express ourselves in so many different ways that bring up so much happiness, why are we going to food? Like why is that? And I know why. It's because that's what we're comfortable with, that's what we know, and we're not thinking. We're just going on autopilot, and we're just going for you know, going for something that's really nice and easy. Well, it's not going to satisfy you in the long term. So get creative, like, you know, work on your happiness. It's like anything. You like work on a muscle, like work on your happiness, build that muscle. So like when you're feeling sad, you're feeling depressed, it's like, boom, I know what to do to fix that. I'm gonna have a bubble bath with a good book, or I'm gonna go to a yoga class. Like you have those like go-to things that you do that don't involve food that can break you out of that state in a second. And it's just about changing your physiology.
Awesome. I totally hear that. Like last night even, my roommate is gone. I'm just totally alone. It's just me, and I was telling you earlier, I'm cat sitting and dog sitting. and I started to get a little lonely. I was like, okay, what can I do to feel? What can I do with this feeling of loneliness? Well, I could go out with friends, and there were some things that I knew I could do to make myself feel better and to kind of bring my energy level up and to really explore that loneliness and allow myself to feel that and not make it bad. And I love what you said about figuring out what it is that you want to feel, and how can you help yourself to do that besides food, because definitely in our culture, like, food is the go-to. Food solves all problems. Oh, you got a good grade, here's a cookie. Yes. Oh, someone smacked you, here's a cookie. Anytime, oh, your boyfriend broke up with you, Ben and Jerry's. There's a reason it's in romantic comedies and we all laugh, because it's so true. That these things happen. So what do you usually tell your clients and the people that you work with about, like, increasing your happiness? Like, how do you go about just being ridiculously happy all the time? And it seems ridiculous, isn't it? Because so many people are just unhappy themselves with food.
Yeah. Well, our go-to is like being sad. Like, we've conditioned ourselves as a culture that it's easier to be upset. So what are we? We're upset, right? And the quality of your emotions is the quality of your life. So if you're constantly pissed off, sad, and depressed, you're going to lead a life that's pissed off, sad, and depressed. So it's about rewiring your thoughts to think of, okay, so for instance, rewiring your thoughts to condition yourself, and this takes work. This isn't like an overnight thing. This takes work. So if you're feeling, say for instance, you're worried about your finances, you're worried about money, right? So that thought comes into your head and you're like, oh shit, like I've got this bill and this bill and this bill. What am I going to do? Rewire yourself to think, okay, as soon as that thought enters, I'm going to bounce, my neurotransmitters to think of this. And whether that's like you, like sitting on a boat with your family having fun. So what you're doing is you're diverting that negative thought, so you're not dwelling on it. And the more you think of, like, so that's just like one little strategy that I work with with my clients, right? It's like diverting those thoughts, because normally it's like, oh, I feel the stress, like my finances. What should I do? I'm sitting down. Oh, shit, let's open a fridge and let's like grab something, right? And that's kind of like the go-to. So it's about like creating like those little diversions and getting really comfortable and getting really used to figuring out how you feel and like how you want to feel and like what activity is going to bring what feeling. So if you want some adventure, right? You're not going to find adventure in like a bag of Doritos. You're going to find adventure by like hopping on your bike and going for a bike ride, or like going rock climbing. That's what you're craving. You're craving that adventure. So it's about like getting used to like breaking the patterns. And I know that's like cliche to say, it's like break the diet cycle, break the pattern, but it's true. It's like, I could reword it to make it sound more glamorous, but that's what it is. It's about like breaking those like mental patterns that we're so accustomed to and that we've been living with for 25, 30, 40 years, right? It's not easy to do. Like, you can change your state in a second, but it takes work to change your pattern.
So what is your favorite trick or tip to break that pattern, to kind of like block the circuit and start fresh? So if someone is in this pattern of dieting and binging, or they're used to even dieting, I get asked that all the time, like, how do you stop dieting? Like, what is there besides dieting? You just get really fat? Is that you just eat whatever you want and you just get really fat?
Well, it's interesting. Is like, I mean, there's about 100 answers, but one that I'm gonna share now is there's a lot of guilt and shame, as we all know, around dieting and around body image. What shame hates is bringing shame to the surface. So shame loves to manifest deep within your soul and like create this environment of like, I'm not going to say anything, I'm not going to do anything, I'm not going to whatever shameful feelings you're having, they love to like just hide in you, right? So create an environment where you cannot manifest shame. And what I mean by that is voice your feelings. So if you're feeling fat, disgusting, depressed, horrible, talk out loud, like literally talk out loud. And you might seem crazy, and that's cool, but just say, you know what, I'm feeling really shameful right now. I feel really shameful because, I ate this and I ate this and I haven't worked out. Just voice it, whether you're talking to yourself or you're talking to a friend, getting that out in the open now allows you to do the work on it. Okay, so after you voice the fact that you're feeling shameful, what are we going to do it now? What massive action are we going to take to reverse that state that you're in, going from a state of shame to a more empowered state? How are we going to do that? And when you talk it through, and you talk through how you're feeling, and you don't hide from it, you don't suppress it, you just feel it fully, that's where the magic happens. That's where we can start, creating the building blocks to get better. So that's another strategy that I use with my clients, is just voicing how you feel, whether that's on your own, and not writing it down, literally talking it out loud, and making it open, right? So bringing it to life, bringing that shame to life, because we all have it. We all live with shame, like whether that's shame from eating or shame from something that we did wrong. We all live it, but if we can voice it and bring life to it, it makes it more real, and then that's where the work can start.
Sure. Well, and it's like you said, if it's inside of you, you got to bring it to the surface. You can't work on things that are under the surface. It's like the analogy I use is almost like, because my parents are computer people, like when you press Control-Delete on a computer, and it brings up all those programs, you're like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm not running 17 different programs right now. All I have is like Word open. Why is it frozen?
Yeah.
And it's like your brain, like you have all of these things, all these emotions, all these thoughts running in the background, and until you do that Control-Delete, you become aware of them, you can't shut them down. So it's like the same with that shame. Like, you can't work on that shame if it's just on autopilot. Exactly. You have to bring it to the surface and be able to take that massive action.
Yeah. It's really, really, really interesting. It's a really, really interesting concept. But it's shame is, Brené Brown does some amazing, amazing work on shame, and I would really recommend her book, The Gifts of Imperfection, because it just like lies it out in such a real, authentic way that I know most people who do suffer from eating disorders can really resonate with, because that's a huge part of it, right? That's why we don't seek help. That's why we don't seek help. It's because we think we're alone. We think we're the only one. No, it's you and hundreds of thousands of women and men worldwide who are suffering from the exact same thing. So let's bring that conversation to life, right? Let's get this conversation going. I know people love talking about cancer all day long, but they hate talking about eating disorders, even though it's one of the number one mental illness killers in the world, or it is the number one, right? Or it's ridiculous. So it's just like bringing that conversation to life, and through companies like my company and your company, we will make it change, and we'll make that happen. It's just our culture's not used to it. And I don't know if you experience this, but whenever people are like, oh, so what do you do? And I tell them I work with girls who suffer from eating disorders, they're taken aback. They're like, whoa, like what's that, right? And it's an interesting paradigm, because I'm like, you have no idea how many people suffer from eating disorders, and why don't we talk about it? Like, and I think like people who just think of, this is just kind of diverting a little bit, but just think of like all the fundraisers for cancer. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fundraisers for cancer. Have you ever, like, I've gone to one fundraiser for eating disorders. Like, it's not a common thing. So anyway.
Well, and I think there's a stigma to it too, because it is a mental illness, and it's something that, like, it's a mental thing. Like cancer, it seems like that just happens to us and it manifests in our body, and there's something different about something that's like visceral, physical, versus something that isn't like mental. And I think people have a hard time understanding it. I'm like actually in the process of writing a book. Like, what does it sound like? What does it feel like to have an eating disorder? Because until you understand it, it's just very difficult to relate to, and people kind of get like weird. They just kind of got used to that, like you said, when people ask you what you do, and you say, yeah, I've worked with eating disorders, people kind of be like, and they'll just divert the conversation to something else, and they'll just like, some people just walk away, it's just not ready. But it's amazing how many people will email me after an event to say like, oh, my cousin or my ex-girlfriend or my niece or my mom has an eating disorder, and it's something that, like, it's one of those things you like sweep under the rug and you don't talk about it. But until we pull back the curtains, we kind of say like, this is real. It is the number one, has the highest mortality rate of any mental illness. So including like depression and schizophrenia and anxiety. Like this is really young girls,
Yep.
is anorexia and eating disorders. So how can we make this more of a topic to speak about? So just like, what are your thoughts? So I know we're talking about it now. Like, where do you think this conversation is going, and especially in those dancing and fitness communities? Like, how do you think we can bring more light to this and really start talking about these issues and making changes in those industries and in general?
I think just having more of a presence and an influence in schools is like a big thing. Like I know when I was younger, I remember like some really like thought provoking, inspirational speakers who I really admired who would come in and speak. And I think like creating a platform and an environment to leverage that capability would be so awesome. It's funny with like modeling agencies and dancing schools and stuff. It's a little bit of a funny one because they don't really. It's almost like they don't want the information, or they're like not ready to handle the information because they want their dancers to be skinny, and it's just this like screwed up
Mm.
world. And so I mean, I like my one of my biggest missions is for the next year is to just get in the school system and just speak to students about like young ones, like like get them while they're young at like 12 and just teach them simple principles of like self-love and self-acceptance, and like your body is like the vehicle to your dreams. Like your body will like help you with anything, so you need to honor it and you need to obey it, and this is how you do it. This is simple things, like just like breaking open those conversations. I think will start to create a momentum, and the more like of you and me's in this world doing that and like stepping on that ground, the more traction we're going to have and the greater impact we're going to have on the world and for the generation after generation after generation. But if those conversations don't start, we're going to continue in this like screwed up diet cycle craze paradigm that we're currently in, and it's never going to change. So yeah, I think just influencing schools around the world would be just awesome, just really awesome.
And what are your next steps with Hungary for Happiness, and how can people find out more about the work that you're doing?
Yeah.
And maybe like if they have a school that they could connect you with in
I
Canada.
Yeah, I would love that. We're going through a really cool time at the moment. We're leveraging this massive online program, which is going to be very interactive, very visual, very hands-on, that can be accessible to anyone in the world. So it makes it accessible, and it also makes it very affordable because not everyone has the resources to, have coaching done, or they don't have like a community where they can go to for support. So this is going to be an online support network, for people in like any corner of the world. If they have an internet connection and a laptop, they can access this information, and it's going to be very well priced. Just it's not about making money, it's about spreading the word, and it's about creating a difference. So the program is going to be very economically priced for people so they can afford it. So that's what's in creation at the moment. It's super exciting. I don't want to have like a set launch date on it because I want to launch it when I feel it's ready, not when I think it should be launched, if that makes any sense. I want to wait till I'm like, okay, this is cool now, this is good to go, this is the world is ready for this now. So it's I'm not sure, like I want to say about 6 months, 6 months time, but if it's a year, then that's cool. We'll make it a year. So that's the next biggest thing. And then like Hungry for Happiness is doing a book as well. So it's going to be more of an interactive book, more of like kind of like a journal based
Sure.
book of like daily reflection and just like getting things down on paper and like just figuring out where we're at with our emotions and our patterns with our relationship with food. So that's definitely in the next 6 months. So that's pretty exciting. And then yeah, just my goal and mission is just to have people on the team who share a similar mission that can go into schools and speak on national stages. Talk about this stuff at TEDx, at TED Talks, like. Get more like media. We're doing like a big media push at the moment. So like just like getting the word out on media platforms so people can like watch this and be like, oh, amazing, like this is me, and there's help for me. So yeah, the company's going through a really exciting time right now. So it's all good.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it has been so great to to connect and chat about this, because I know, especially in these industries, it's just it's something that I know we've been talking a lot about at my gym, and especially like I did dancing when I was younger, but I know that in these communities where we're so focused on fitness and on physical appearance, that there's definitely eating disorders running rampant, and if not eating disorders, then at the very least those body image issues. So I'm so grateful that you're doing the work that you're doing. I'm grateful to be able to do the work that I'm doing, and I can't wait for your book to come out.
Yeah, you too. I'm excited.
And definitely let me know when that's coming out. But is there anything else that you'd like to add, like anything that you still feel like hasn't been said that people really need to know about emotional eating or about eating disorders or fitness?
I think me and you could probably sit here for 5 hours and like talk about that. Like we're so passionate about it. So I just think like maybe we'll pitch it out to you guys. If there's anything else you guys want us to cover, let us know, because I could freaking talk your ear off for 5 hours. But but you know, if I don't know if this is going to be posted on like YouTube or whatever, just write some comments down. If you guys want me and Shannon to do more of these videos, I would love to collaborate with you and do that, because I think it's our missions are so aligned in so many ways, and I think it's amazing. So yeah, I mean, I would love to share with you guys as, you know, I would love for you to pick my brain, and I want to offer you as much value and content as possible coming from my end. So let us know if there's anything, and I'll put it on my YouTube channel as well. And stay in touch with us. And Shannon, thank you so much for organizing this, and thank you for being you and doing the work that you do. It's awesome, and it like I'm so happy when I see someone else who is in this field like moving this thing together. So it's really exciting. So thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
No worries.
Cool. So check us out online, hungryforhappiness.com, hungryforhappiness.com, and we're both on Facebook, and I know you've got a lot of great stuff going on there. So just to stay in the loop, and I know you offer like how to not eat your heart out, like a cute little ebook thing that's really great. I got it. It's super wonderful. I've got a food freedom kit on my site. So just to help you guys, because we're all about making sure that everybody is just, I think when you don't have those problems around food, you can live the life like you were saying. There's so much friggin' abundance in life. Like everybody should be living that. And I think that we're both on that same page where we're like, we just want people to be living big and sharing their gifts and doing what they love to do. So thank you again. And I can't wait to share this with everybody.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. All right, Shanna, have a wonderful day. We'll see you soon, okay?
All right.
Okay, bye.